What is going on, everyone? Welcome to our New Year's Day edition of our live stream. Going to do a little bit different from what our normal NFL live stream is. Today, we're going to go over obviously New Year's Day. We get the Winter Classic, and we get the bunch of bowl games, the New Year's Day bowls, and the college football playoff tonight to end everything off. We're going to start out with the Winter Classic, and then we'll move into the college football games for the day. So, in the Winter Classic, we have the Vegas Golden Knights going out to Seattle. I believe it's T-Mobile Park where the Mariners play. I could don't quote me on that name. I know it is the Mariners Stadium. That's where the game is at to take on the Kraken. Seattle plus 116 on the money line coming into this game. Vegas minus 140. Over/under is a low 5.5. Mackie, I'll kind of start us out here. I already locked in the under 1.5 in the first period in this game. Winter Classics tend to start slow. I was trying to look at the weather report, see if there's any snow, rain. It's up in Seattle. You know, you always anticipate precipitation up there. It says it's supposed to be a pretty clear day, but I'm going with the under in the first period. I kind of lean on Seattle here. There's a lot of money on Vegas coming into this game. Home, last year I was a little biased, but the home team usually wins these Winter Classic games. I kind of like Seattle in this spot. They have the 4-game win streak coming in here. Vegas was just on a little bit of a skid. Got a win last game, but who do you lean on here? I'm kind of leaning on Seattle. I don't have an official play, but I did already lock in that under 1.5 in the first period.
I do kind of like Seattle as well. You know, this game is indoors.
There's a roof over it. Yeah.
Like, what is the point of a Winter Classic if it's indoors? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
So is it full? Like the roof is actually closed? It's not like one of those stadiums where there's like open walls or something?
I don't know if they retract the roof. I don't know if it's a retractable roof, but every video I've seen so far, there's been a roof over it, and I'm like, what's the point of a Winter Classic?
Do you think they're doing that? Do you think they're doing that to save it like until today?
Yeah, they definitely could.
Jesse, can you look that up while we talk about this?
Can you look up if it's a retractable roof to see if it's possible
like if it can be open? Yeah, because
okay, so they're gonna open it for the game.
That was definitely what they were doing. They weren't practicing with it open and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, because it's been okay.
I think just because it rains so much, they'd get rained out of 90% of their games if they didn't have a retractable roof.
That's the problem, exactly. Is that if it's raining and it hits the ice, I mean, it's just gonna ruin the ice completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, Seattle's playing really good hockey right now. They're 6-1-3 in their last.
Who's this goalie going for Seattle? That's the only thing that scares me. I don't know who that is.
Wait, let me look into that. I didn't even see that.
It says he's expected.
Oh, Grubauer's Joey Decord.
Yeah, do you know? Are you familiar with his game? He's 8-5-8. That's a pretty weird record.
915 save percentage, 246 goals against. Not bad. He's got good numbers. 8-5-8
is such a weird record.
That's insane. 8 overtime losses. No, but I'm looking for the Kraken to come to make a standing today. I think Vegas, obviously one of the best teams in the league. It's not one of those games where you could just look at these teams and pick a winner. You got to bring everything into play. It's a Winter Classic, only game on today in Seattle. I think Seattle's going to have a strong showing. I think they're going to have the crowd behind them. I think it's going to be a close game. I like the under as well. Huff, you're rolling with your under 1.5. You like that bet? You hit it a lot.
I love that and my first goal. Those are my two favorite bets in hockey. When I find like this game, it kind of scares me with this Decord guy, but it's more just in Seattle, outdoors. They're not familiar with the environment. They like to. Everyone always says every player when they interview him in the first period intermission at the Winter Classic, every first question the reporter asks them is, "Oh, what'd you guys think of the ice out there? What'd you guys think of the ice out there?" And it's like
always different.
It takes some time to get used to. It's like, yeah, cool. Don't score for the first 20 minutes. Let's just wait till the second period, and then we'll have the action start in the second.
Because the puck's bouncing around for the first 20. They got to figure out how to play on the ice. It's a lot different, probably softer ice, you know.
It says it's supposed to be 38 and clear in Seattle, so I don't know if that's like ideal conditions. I feel like they'd want it a little colder, but
I kind of feel like it's like the what is it, T-Mobile Park? I feel like they're just controlling the weather in there. I mean, even though a retractable roof, it's still like 90% covered. So I feel like the weather is being controlled.
They could be leaving it closed to like cool down, like leave the temperature lower, and then so when they have to open the roof come game time, it's like frozen enough that it can last the whole game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, remember the problems in Tahoe? Remember the problems in Tahoe when they were tearing up the ice?
They had to delay the game. They had to wait till it got dark out so it was cold enough because it was like 60 degrees around this ice, and they're like cutting.
The sun was melting the ice,
the puck wasn't even moving. It was like
I was telling Jesse,
we can't even do this.
That's like I was telling Jesse before, and then I was like, remember when they came back and played it at night, and then they said the lights were too bright because they didn't plan to play it at night? Like everyone was complaining because the Kings were wearing those chrome helmets. Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
there was just too much going on there. They didn't think that one through. They probably should
Yeah,
have had like a trial and error for that one, but
that was that was the coolest venue they did outdoors too. Like they
right
they
on the
got to
lake,
do that again, but they got to do it right.
right on Lake Tahoe. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
awesome. But they didn't think that one through. They just winged it. I feel like
Yeah.
this is an
They're just like, this would
NHL.
be a cool spot.
This is the NHL, and you're postponing a game in the middle of it because the ice is melting.
It's like it's literally we play on ice and the ice is fucking melting. That's a problem. All
But yeah,
right.
so
Yeah.
I
So
think
you
it
go with
seems like we're
Seattle
both on
here?
Seattle here. So I like Seattle. I think Seattle's a pretty good team. I have a lot of faith in them. I think Vegas, obviously being one of the top teams in the league, got to be scared of them. But I mean, this isn't just a normal game. I said
Seattle
it
four
earlier, but
straight. They just went on a road trip. They came home, beat Philly in overtime. They're rolling right now.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Plus 116 in FanDuel. I like that price on the. I think we're gonna have to go with Seattle there.
Seattle in the under first period. I like it.
Ace is definitely gonna be on Vegas.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee he's
Short
gonna be on
short
Vegas.
line, I understand, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think
It's
this is a
weird.
spot.
It's a
Yeah.
weird line. Like Vegas, if this game's in Seattle's normal stadium, Vegas is like minus 165.
Yeah, 100%. If this isn't on New Year's Day and it's just a game in
Yeah.
Seattle, Vegas is definitely minus 165. Vegas is a
Uh,
different team on the road, so we'll
yeah.
we'll see,
And like I said, they're 1-4 in their last four, or 1-4 in their last five. I didn't even look past that. I just saw the 4-game losing streak. They just won. I forget who they just beat, but they were on
a
a
bit of a
4-game skid.
skid. Yep.
All right, and we will get into our college football matchups where Wisconsin just took a lead in the ReliaQuest Bowl. Didn't know what the fucking name of that bowl was. There we go. So Wisconsin's up in that one. We're not going to talk about that one because don't have a play on it. So we will get into this next one. I don't really have a play on this one either, Mackie. Oregon Liberty. I don't know if you do. Oregon 17.5-point favorite, over under 70.5. I don't have a play on this one though. The one I'm excited to talk about is this Tennessee Iowa game. But do you have anything on Oregon Liberty?
Not really. I just want to say, I mean, they gave this game to Liberty because they're 13-0 and they're obviously in the CUSA, so they're not going to be eligible for the college football playoff. But this is just one of those games where you see like those 13-0 teams who think that they're able to make it, go in and play one of those powerhouse teams that just didn't make it, like Florida State.
There's so many
Georgia.
guys sitting out for Oregon too.
Oh, are there? I
Yeah.
guarantee you they still win by three touchdowns.
Yeah, it's going to be just like Georgia.
Yeah, exactly.
But
They're just going
also,
to prove
yeah.
that like these teams cannot keep up with those top tier teams.
Yeah.
Oregon is a good enough team to be in the college football playoff. Obviously, they had 2 losses, so they weren't eligible. But I mean, Oregon is definitely, they easily could have been a top 5 team in the country this year. So, I mean, I expect them, even with everyone being out, I expect them to roll.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. 17.5, that's a weird number though. Liberty's offense, they've been able to score all year, but that's just a game. I won't even be watching that because this Tennessee game, if I bet on this, it's on at the same time. I'll be watching this one. But
Yeah, exactly.
next game, we got Iowa, Tennessee. Tennessee, a 5.5-point favorite, minus 220 on the money line. Iowa, plus 180. And the over-under is a typical Iowa game in the 30s, 36.5. I like Tennessee minus the 5.5. I do lean on the under 36.5 as well. I could see Tennessee win a 23-10 game, 23-7. Like, I don't see Iowa's offense doing too much. I wasn't confident in that quarterback that stepped in for, is it McNamara? I always get him and McCarthy confused. I told you that last week.
Right.
So the guy that stepped in for him, he looks like a right guard. I mean, I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. I don't think Iowa thinks he's that good. Joe Milton's not playing for Tennessee. I forget the backup. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Nico Iamaleava. Yeah, he's played in a couple games this year. Tennessee, I mean, they're a stud of a program. They want to win this game. They don't have many guys sitting out, surprisingly, other than Milton, who's obviously going to the draft. But
Jalen Wright.
True, Jalen Wright too. And I just like Tennessee with the number here. I don't think Iowa's going to put up too many points today.
See, that's the thing about this Iowa team. I mean, they don't put up points. It doesn't matter who's at quarterback. It doesn't matter who's.
Their defense is so good and their offense is so bad. So like they could lose this game 13-0, and I wouldn't be surprised.
It's just a style of football they play. It's crazy how every team that plays Iowa has to go play Iowa football. Like nobody goes into Iowa and plays their own style of football. You go play Iowa and you play their style of football. And I think that's why they're so good and they win so often, is because everyone has to resort to playing their style of football, and they're used to that and other teams aren't. So this team, They scare me. They do. I'm scared to bet against them. But honestly, if you think about it, I mean, there's just not going to be a lot of points in this game. 5 points, kind of scary without their quarterback and running back. But I don't know. I think I like this Tennessee team. I think they're clearly the better team in this scenario. But I don't know. They scare me for sure. That defense definitely. The defense. I mean, they run through that defense 100%. So
Yeah.
if they can stand on their heads, keep this one close. 5 points does scare me, but Tennessee, in my opinion, is the better team. I think they get the job done. It sounds like you're on them as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can lock that one in as well. Tennessee -5.
Absolutely. We'll get into our college football matchups, or college football playoff matchups, I should say. The first game, the 5 p.m. game. I think the game that most people are anticipating is Alabama, Michigan. I believe it's the Rose Bowl. Yeah, Rose Bowl out in Pasadena. We're going to have Michigan as now a 2.5-point favorite, -137 on the money line, over under 45.5. I've tried to bet against Alabama in the past. It hasn't been profitable. It's Michigan's record in the past so many bowl games. The more I look into this game, I'm just trusting my gut, and I'm taking Alabama. I know that's what you said on Thursday. Are you still sticking by the Tide and going with Alabama today?
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, this has gotta be the wrong side, right? Like, it's gotta be the wrong side, but
It has to be, but it's like there's certain spots where I'm just like, I'll bite the trap. I've
you
had it,
have to
yeah.
bite the trap, dude. I think this is a scenario where Alabama's playing such good football. They obviously have the better coach. Michigan has been in this scenario how many times and cannot get the job done. Last year against TCU, they had the easy game last year against TCU. Couldn't get the job done. TCU gets rolled by 60 points in the national championship game. This is a scenario where they're in a worse spot than they were last year. I don't think this Michigan team is that good. I mean, they're very good, don't get me wrong, but they beat Ohio State. That's it. There's nobody else in the Big
You
Ten that can really compete. Penn
do you
State is
think?
good, but they weren't like that good of a win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. I think, and it was in Michigan, wasn't it?
Yeah, because they beat Ohio State
No,
in
It was in Penn State. That was the game that Harbaugh didn't coach, because remember the interim coach was like crying his eyes out, and it was in Penn State Stadium. But
Yeah,
anyway,
okay.
what was I just gonna say? I think in this spot, obviously, I think there's also a value spot where if you don't like Alabama plus the 2.5, or if the plus 115 isn't enticing enough, I think there's a chance where Alabama will go down at some point in this game, and you can get them plus 6.5, plus
Live
7.
bet.
Yeah, like I think this is a good game to sit on and maybe live bet throughout the first quarter and find which side looks a little better. But I like Alabama to win the game. I'm going to take the plus 114, plus 115 money line. I've seen both 2.5. Give me the money line. If it's a close game, Saban's going to find a way to win it.
What do you think about Jay Miller going up against this defense?
It's so like I love what Michigan can do from a running aspect, but I think Alabama's offense is. I think anytime Saban gets a month to plan for a defense, like I don't care how good that defense is, they've looked good enough to win the game. Like even in games he's lost in the past to Georgia, they've been in the playoffs so many times. Ohio State, you can name all these teams that they've lost to. Like they still are competitive. It's not because they got out like worked on on their offensive side of the ball. It's just because sometimes their defense can't stop Georgia's offense back-to-back years. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
Milroe's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Who's the running back for Alabama? I'm drawing a blank on his name. I think he could have a big game today. I just think Michigan's defense is going to it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think under 45.5 for sure.
Chase McClellan.
That's it. I think under 45.5. I think it's a big run heavy offense today for both teams. Corum, him. I think the clock keeps running. Under 45.5 in Alabama.
I think the first drive is going to say a lot for this Alabama team because, like you said, Nick Saban planning for this defense, that first drive is going to mean everything. So if you can go down.
That's the scripted drive. You know what I mean? Like that's the drive.
That's the scripted drive. And then after that, you make adjustments as a coach. So if they can go down, score a touchdown right away, I think Michigan might be in trouble because then they're going to have to make the adjustments instead of Alabama. But if Alabama goes out there 3 and out and Michigan's defense is rolling, I mean, Miller might have a tough day against this defense. But even if they do, Alabama has a defense that can probably match Michigan's defense.
I was just going to say, what do you think if Michigan gets the ball first, goes right down the field and gets a touchdown? Like, are you worried at that point about Alabama's defense?
No, I kind of expect it, to be honest.
That's
really
what I'm saying. I kind of think Michigan goes up 7-0. So, like, I might wait to bet this.
Then everyone's going to be like, "Oh, Alabama shouldn't have been that fourth team in," and then they come back. That defense steps up. Nick Saban makes some adjustments, and that team starts to roll. I just think this Alabama team. I think that they're actually the best team in the country. I've been saying it. Everyone after that Texas loss week 3 or week 2, whatever it was, they're ranked like 11th. They were 1-1. Everyone's been writing them off the entire season. They were ranked like 8th by like week 12, like right before the bowl games and everything. And then they beat Georgia. They kind of roll Georgia, not really roll, but they took care of business. And I mean, I just think this team, they were overlooked all season. They roll. I mean, I like this. I love Jalen Milroe. I think that this offense rolls. Tough defense, but I really do think Alabama is the better team here, and I think they have the better coach. And I mean, we've seen Michigan in this scenario how many times, and they just don't get the job done. So I'm gonna roll with the numbers here and just go with Alabama.
Yeah, absolutely. The second game where we have the 8:45, this fucking late game. Damn, I didn't realize 8:45. That's crazy. I hate when they start at 8:20. This game's gonna be over at fucking midnight. Texas at Washington, Sugar Bowl. I'm not sure where this game's being played. Does anyone know that? New Orleans Superdome. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's where it was because the Rose Bowl's obviously at the Rose Bowl. But so Texas at Washington, or Texas versus Washington. Washington, a 3.5 point underdog in New Orleans. Plus 152 on the money line for Washington. Texas minus 184. Over under at 62.5. Obviously, this one being in a dome, you're going to see a little bit higher of an over under. Big 12 versus Pac 12. These a little bit more higher flying offenses. We saw what Penix and Odunze could do throughout the season for Washington. Quinn Ewers coming into this game for Texas. Texas has a lot to prove. The lines dropped from 4.5 to 3.5. So when I woke up this morning, I was looking at this game. I just saw value in taking Alabama money line and Washington money line, and just hoping one hits and you can make some money. I don't know. I know you were on Washington. I do I think Texas wins this game, but there's so much value on Washington. And you talked me into it. How many times can this team be underdogs and just no one even blinks twice about it? 9.5 point underdog in the Pac-12 championship. You could name all the times throughout the year, but I like Washington to cover or win this game. But really, I feel like this is such a hard spot for me. I'm probably going to bet on Washington, but I wouldn't be surprised if Texas wins this game. I think this is a special year for Texas. The year before they go to the SEC, they go to the national championship game. I could see it happen. I might have a play on this one later in the day, but I keep talking myself going back and forth.
Yeah, I could definitely be reading this one wrong, but how many, like you said, how many times can this Washington team be written off and just kind of stun these guys? I mean, beat Oregon twice, beat them on neutral field, a huge game, 9.5 point underdogs. This team's been written off, and it's Texas. It is Texas, and I know
who's Texas has lost to?
Oklahoma.
Okay.
So that's also a game where, I mean, it can go.
That's a rivalry game.
That's a rivalry.
Yeah.
So I mean, that could just go either way. But it's still Texas. Texas finds ways to lose every single year. They found their way into the college football playoff because they beat Alabama earlier in the season. They couldn't leave them out without putting Alabama in.
I feel like Washington does the same thing. The last time they made it to the college football playoff, though,
they haven't made it since 2012, or
no, they made it a couple years ago. I feel like. They made it.
But they've only made it once.
Yeah, what was it? What year was that? 2019 they made it? 18? Around there. We're at the same spot. They were the 4 seed against whoever the 1 seed was that year, just absolutely tore them apart.
Was that Jake Browning at quarterback?
It might have been. I'll look it up. Keep going. I'll look it up.
Yeah. But I really do like Washington here. I think everyone keeps overlooking them just because they're out there. They're in the Pac-12. I mean, Michael Penix kind of, the last few games of the year, he kind of fell off. They were in close games against pretty bad teams. So that's why they're probably 9.5 point underdogs against Oregon. And then again, they went into Oregon, or they didn't go into Oregon, but they went to play Oregon, 9.5 point underdogs, and they get the job done. I think this team can get the job done again. I think Texas finds a way to lose once again, like they always do. I like Quinn Ewers. I think he has a good game. I think there's a lot of fucking points in this game, excuse my language. But I think both offenses roll. Michael Penix is going to get his. You know he's going to get his.
That's what I was kind of leaning. I can't talk myself in either of these teams. I was kind of just leaning on the over, but it's so high, dude.
What is it, 63?
62.5.
Yeah. But Washington's defense I mean, they don't get the job done. That's why Michael Penix just needs to play so well. But I think that's what it comes down to, is that Texas actually has a defense. And that's probably why they're 4-point favorites here.
It was Jake Browning. He lost to Alabama 24-7. The Alabama quarterback was Jalen Hurts. They had Jalen Hurts, Damian Harris, Calvin Ridley, Josh Jacobs, like Minka Fitzpatrick, this Trayvon Diggs. This team was fucking loaded.
Yeah, they also had Tua, who came in the national championship.
Yeah,
And
he just
threw
didn't
that
play in
pass.
this game. Washington had, let's see if I can recognize anyone else. Obviously, Jake Browning, John Ross. Remember that receiver for the Bengals that got drafted really high that
John
was really
Ross, yep.
fast. Drew Sample, the tight end for the Bengals. All these guys are on the Bengals.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
So you lean Texas here?
I think I kind of lean Texas. Yeah. I just think Ewers is. I don't know. I can't bet. I'm probably gonna go with the over. I think I'm gonna go with the over. Not
So offense
confident
as
at
well.
all.
I like Michael Penix. I've been high on him all season. You know, I've been talking about him all season.
Yeah, you gotta stand your ground with Washington.
And they're 13-0. Like,
Yeah.
If they lose, they lose. But I think the 4 points here is safe. Even
I
if they
think
lose,
it's
I think
not.
it's a close game.
Yeah, I think you hit if you take Bama money line and Washington money line. Like you're gonna hit
money.
one.
You make money. Yeah, 100%. Because you got them both at plus money. Even if it's chump change, doesn't matter. You're making money.
Yeah, like if Bama wins and Washington loses, you technically win the 0.15. Like you still win money.
It is. Yeah, what are they, plus 115?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like
go
it's
with the underdogs today.
That's
I like the underdogs. You get a 3-4 matchup in the national championship. There's no real powerhouse this year.
I just also think the reason I lean Texas, I just think they're a little bit better coach. I like Sarkisian. I've just always liked him.
Yeah, I mean Texas. They're a better program at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean they're probably a top 5 program in the country, but it's Texas, man. Are they really bad? I don't think so.
We'll have to see because they go to the SEC next year. This is definitely be the year for them to do it.
Big statement though, getting the college football playoff this year, going in the SEC next year. I mean that's huge for them.
You know how funny it would be if they did all this. Like imagine they win the national championship game this year. Their expectations to go into the SEC next year and just win would be through the roof.
Yeah,
they'd also get some crazy transfers and everything, especially with them now going to the SEC. But like, could you imagine they win the national championship and then they go out of like a 7-win season their first year in the SEC?
Well, go into the SEC as top dogs. It's huge. It's a huge statement. I think that's what they're looking at too. I mean, obviously they know what they're playing for. They know what this program is leading to or is heading towards in the future. So Texas has a lot on their mind right now. I can't.
That's the other thing in me. The West Virginia fan and the West Virginia alumni in me does not want to see Texas go to the national championship game at all.
Horns down.
Yeah, forever. So I think that's going to do it. You heard our picks. We're going with most likely leaning on Seattle, pending Ace giving us a hard time about that one. Like the under in that game, obviously outdoor game, lower scoring. Winter Classic at 3:00. We got Tennessee at 1. Mac, you like the under in that game too? I think we did agree on that 36.5.
I take every single Iowa under.
Tennessee minus 4.5, under 36.5. Bama, Washington. I like it all. So definitely make sure you're staying tuned to the social media. We'll get all the plays out for college football. Not much going on in the world of college basketball today. They don't want to compete with these bowl games going on. So a lot of college football, and obviously we're going to get an NHL card out there for you. So thanks for listening. Make sure you stay tuned on Thursday for our Week 18 episode, as well as we'll see you next Sunday for our Week 18 live stream for our top 5 NFL games of the week, as well as our Mortal Lock. Other than that, thanks for listening. Like, share, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. It goes a long way, and we really appreciate it. So we'll see you guys next week, and Happy New Year.